Well, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
For those who are catching us this morning, now we're on our YouTube channel, Complex Conversations, and so we want you to please subscribe because we're a brand new channel and we need subscribers. I'm noticing there's a little glitch in my video here. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. Um, so today we have an interesting conversation. First of all, I'm Stan Archie. I am
And I'm here.
father.
Oh, go ahead.
Uh, oh, yeah, father. I've decided to introduce myself this time. Father, a husband of 43 years, and have three grown kids and eight grandkids. And so that's my mark in history. I also have. I'm a consultant with Successful Edge and behavioral provider. So I provide mental health provisions, things of that nature. Also, I have my JD. So
And I'm Darren Fulcher. I am an attorney, father of four girls. I have six grandchildren, four boys, two girls, and all of my children live in Texas right now.
mm,
And somehow they made their way from Missouri to New York to LA to all in Texas now. Um, I am, I always say, a brother, friend, and I love the Word of God.
mm. And our primary foundation is really kingdom focused, but we think about application. So
Mhm.
we get into sort of the nitty gritty, but our foundational beliefs really center around our commitment to biblical living. So today we have a topic we're going to talk about dating in dating in 2026. Kind of what is it all about, and why we have very different experiences discussed between men and women. I want you to so as this topic approached us, and we start thinking about dating, or when you first saw that this was going to be our topic, what thoughts came to mind?
Well, first thing I thought about was like myself in this day and age of being close to 60 and
Mm,
have been divorced for 10 years now. This
mm,
August has been 10 years. I never thought that I would have been divorced this long. I never thought I was going to be
mm,
divorced. That's the first thing. And then being divorced, then the thing of it is, I thought I'd be married within 6 months.
mm. Six
Um,
months.
yeah, I just thought that I want to be married. I didn't want to get divorced. Um, and I thought that, you know, it'd be a quick turnaround.
Hmm.
And so then what I've realized is the process of dating was where there is different. And at that time, with two girls that I had for the primarily a lot. Um, when we first divorced, I had them, maybe 80% of the time. And then we eventually went 50-50. But I had my girls, and that's a dynamic of trying to date when when I have girls at home and
Mm.
children, teenagers. So they were becoming teenagers. So that was a different dynamic. Um, so it, I find it very sobering to think about
Hmm.
dating.
So I've been married for more than I've been single. More years than I've been single. Many more. I know I've had friends who have lost their loved ones through untimely deaths, and um, and a number of them ended up surprisingly getting married again, which I can't imagine what it would look like if I was with someone different from who I've been with most of my life. Um, and so I find it interesting, but I do see a huge difference in how in the experience
Hmm.
of relationships today, and that's really kind of what I wanted to spend a little time talking about is what is going on. And what I see is the blame game going back and forth um, between men and women, just arguing about who is the problem today. And so, who is the problem today when it comes to dating? Is it men, or is it women, or is it culture? I mean, why do we have such a disaster?
I think it's well, it depends on what you what
Mhm.
define the problem, but why people are not connecting as well, I think it's because of the day and age. We're selfish people, and we're becoming more and
Mm,
more selfish um, as society is getting on. But I know as an older person trying to date, I'm selfish,
mm, okay. Mm,
and I know that I like what I like when I like it, how I like it. I can cook, clean.
mhm,
Um, I like my routine in the morning of getting up, reading my Bible. I love my routine, and I don't want that broken.
mm, mm,
And so for me, is I would just say me as a single older person, I would knowing what I am, but I don't think younger people know how selfish they are,
mhm,
and they go into relationships not understanding who they are, and they haven't had assessment. I mean, if parents aren't raising them to the point to where they're preparing them to be with somebody, it's
mhm,
going to be difficult. Um, and that's one of the things I did with my girls. There were three things I told them I wanted to do to them before they left my house.
mhm,
I wanted them to know the Lord Jesus Christ.
mhm,
I wanted to prepare them to be able to take care of themselves,
mhm.
and I wanted to prepare them to be someone's wife.
Okay. So take care of themselves and somebody's wife. Tell me
Yes,
the difference.
and so when I say take care of themselves, I wanted them to be able to, regardless if they were single or not, be able to be a contributor to society, and that
Mhm,
was any. Uh, so education wise, I wanted them to be educated, um, but not independent.
mhm,
One time, my daughter, I won't say which. Well, one of them said to me she was a boss lady and she was
mhm,
independent.
mhm,
Um, and I said to her, "When have you been independent of a man?
mhm,
When did that start? Because
mhm,
I've been paying your bills all your life.
mhm,
I pay for two apartments for you,
mhm,
young lady. When have you been independent?" I said, "I want you. I raised you to be interdependent.
mhm,
That you need somebody and they need you. That's how God intended it. And you can
mhm,
build something with someone, build a life, build something for God for someone. So that you're not independent. And I don't ever want you to say that again."
mhm. What is when you start talking about being a boss lady?
Hmm.
What comes to mind at my age is you want to be a pimp,
Well,
a female pimp. You want to be the one that you bring the money to me. I tell you what to do. I'm in charge, and all those different kinds of things. That's
well, that concept is not, but it's similar, I would say, but the ladies that say they're boss ladies are those independent women who have taken on male characteristics, who want to run the house
mm,
and they want to run everything. And as my old brother-in-law said, shack bullies.
mm,
He referred to sometimes women in my family as shack bullies.
mm.
Um,
So,
and God rest his soul.
mhm,
He died early of a heart attack. One of my
mm,
brothers-in-law, ex-brother.
mm,
Well, and he would give me advice like that, but he would say, "Be careful of shack bullies, there." And that's what we run into now. And I would say, particularly in our culture, are shack bullies.
mm, mm. And so that would mean like women who That means that you want to be the front line defense against any opposition.
Yes, and they want it on one hand, then on the other hand, and so that's what you run into. I went on a date, not let's say a few years ago,
Mhm,
and and I met this young lady. I actually really wanted to date. We met,
mhm,
and then we started talking by phone, and and I just said to her that she was too masculine for me.
mhm,
I said I don't want to date a dude. I'm not gay,
mhm,
and so therefore her masculine energy. And I said, hey, I'm gonna tell you as a friend because I consider you. We're becoming friends.
mhm,
You come off way too strong,
mhm,
and you need some softness to you.
mhm. How
Uh,
did she take that?
oh, she told me that originally she said, well, she had to be that way because she's had, her ex-husband did this, her ex-husband did that, he did da 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 da. And the men in her life, he left her financially, blah blah blah, this way, this way, this way. And I said, I understand that, but I'm telling you, from my perspective, I don't need a competitor.
Mm, mm,
And I just said, so I'm just telling you as someone that you and I just start having a conversation, and I'm telling you that if you really want a good man, a decent man that
mhm,
you say you want, your energy is way off.
mm,
And so therefore I would have to get loud and match that, and I'm too old for all that.
mm. What about men? What's wrong with the men of today?
And I would just say in generally um soft,
Okay.
feminine characteristics, been around women too long, raised by women.
Mm,
And and so a
mhm,
lot of these and that's and that it's tied into the women are stepping up in roles that they think they have to because the men have never stepped up or the men aren't stepping up. And so they're taking on roles for men. And even in a situation with one of my daughters, that she was dating a young man for 3 years in college.
mhm, mhm,
Um and they recently broke up because I told her I don't think he was the right man for you. And I would not
mhm,
give my blessing in marriage.
mm,
And I was very honest. I said, he's not the right man for you.
mm,
And because she was running the show.
mm,
And I explained to her, I said, biblically, that's incorrect. And I explained to her a little bit about how she was raised and how God intended her to be in her household. And I was telling her, you can build a household, you can tear one down.
mm,
And I said, as a woman, and because the Bible does specifically talks that a woman can destroy a house, can tear a house down in
mhm,
Proverbs. Be careful.
mhm,
I can't remember.
mhm,
And so me explaining that to her, I said, hey, and if you're leading, you can never build. You can't build with the softness that's needed to have a
right.
good, solid house.
Mhm. Now, here's the deal. My mom often made it pretty clear. Now, at first, she tried to get us a father. She
Mhm.
was going because my dad left. She was going to find a man, and that turned out to be a great disaster for a number of years. And then she came to the point where she said, "Listen, I can't be a father. I'm not a father and a mother. So one thing's going to be absent. You're going to pick that up from the Lord.
Mhm.
I'm going to be a great mother." Now, what I don't hear that from women today. I hear them saying, "I'll be your father and your mother."
Yes, and therein lies a problem. And another thing is, um, i- i- women think that they can do it all by themselves, and statistics have shown that they cannot.
Right.
And our society said you can't do it. The Bible said you can't do it. Even if we leave the Bible out of it,
Hmm.
there is a statistic, something like 75 plus people that are in jail were raised by single mothers,
Right.
and kids that are raised by their fathers, solely with their fathers, have the same educational and outcome as kids that are raised with their mother and father. So the
Right.
father is so important to the raising of healthy, strong, smart, functioning children. Um, and so in dating, women didn't understand that, so they think they got to take on this role because they I think they've seen their mothers do it, and their fathers abdicate those roles that God intended them to have. And so I would always start like God started with Adam.
Hmm.
At the foundation probably men are probably the issue.
And so I think with a lot of men who are raised by their mothers, they don't. I see a lot of men who are not protectors. They're not providers. They're not those things that their fathers are, and things that a father should be. And they tend to um, emulate the I need to be taken care of. You need to take care of me rather than I'm gonna take the role. Indecisive. They try to make decisions because they have these feelings that they've learned that are in charge of their lives, and they don't know exactly how to manage those or what to do with those. Um, I see a lot of those different things happening, but I also have found that women have found that deception is the best way to manage their lives with men,
Wh- I-
with these men.
But don't you think that was always the case?
No, I
I mean,
don't think. I think,
you don't think I would. I mean, I think. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it acceptance, but uh, I think in general, women knew how to navigate families and men to get them what needed to be done back in the day.
but most of the time they use that intuitive navigation to help him get beyond spaces that were so testosterone or egotistically driven that they were not good for him. So they use those as a positive contribution to a peaceful family.
Okay, so they knew how to build a family. Oh, I would just say that looking at dating, I never saw a healthy model in my household of dating.
Hmm.
And my mother, who married my stepfather when I was young, let's say 3 or 4 years old, but after they divorced, to be honest with you, we we never. My sisters have finally. It took them a while to get past some generational curse things.
Hmm. And when
And
you say
so
generational curse, the
I would
term
say
curse.
I would say that I said this to my sister Kay recently. We were having a conversation, and I said that I was telling her our family has been cursed because there are no gray-haired men. All the
And
men,
so now I
all the
would
men
just be
die early.
careful with the word curse
Well,
because it kind of means it kind of gives spiritual overtones, like
but I think there are some spiritual overtones of doing things incorrectly, having babies out of wedlock. I mean,
those
there's
are patterns,
patterns, but
and those are traditional patterns that have passed down from generation to generation. A curse is voodoo stuff.
no, 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 no. God said, but the in oh, I mean, God said that the sins follow the second or fourth
Right,
generation. I mean, those
right.
and he's called those generational curses. If
Which the definition was was yeah. I think that the practical application there versus what people believe today. People
well,
believe today that witchcraft and all that kind of stuff or whatever. So I would just be
I'm
careful
talking
with
about
the
what the
word.
Bible said. So I
I
only
understand
go. This
what the
is what.
Bible means.
Well, I know what it says. So what it means is what it says. See, I'm not trying to. I let the Bible interpret itself. I'm not trying to. I'm not. I'm
And I'm
not.
saying that the use of the term in
Yes.
today's society, then I think we have to interpret it clearly. That's why I said give the definition,
Okay. Yeah.
because
So
people
it's
are saying, like if you
so.
go to New Orleans, they
Well,
will
I'm.
curse you
Yeah,
so
but
that you will have bad relationships going forward. with some voodoo act and so.
Well, I'm talking about biblically, that sin that creeps into the family, that continues to follow the family. Um, and there are natural consequences, and there are also spiritual consequences to sin.
Mhm.
And I said this to my sister. We were having a conversation um, about all of the men in our family that um, uh, that die early.
Mhm.
And the and it's not like, I know women typically outlive men by a few years, but this is not a few years. I mean, these are men that are dying at 40 and before and 50s. Um, and I said, you know, we men in this have always allowed the women to be shack bullies.
Mhm.
Um, and a family has issues when they don't have gray hair men in it. And
Mhm.
that's wisdom that keeps the adolescents in check. I mean, there's a lot of things for those gray-haired men, and the silverbacks. You need silverbacks in a family for it to be healthy and functioning.
And I would say that there needs to be those men need to be men
I
and
agree.
stop boys. Mhm.
And
Let
so
me.
there, and
Mhm.
so, um, and we just had a family gathering, and my brother-in-law
Mhm.
looks at me and says, "Man, I don't know. I probably should say this out loud, but I don't know how
Mhm.
you do it. Man, all of these, every single one of these women always try to be in control." I said, "That's why I have to take my breaks. And that's why
Mhm.
sometimes I have to put my foot down and say, this ain't how it's going to be. And
Right.
this we're gonna do it this way." But
Mhm.
I said, I gotta pick my spot sparingly.
Now, do you meet with? Do you guys? Do the guys get together? The
We
men.
haven't in a while, but that is something that we used to come over to my house, and like my brother-in-law Miles cooks. And so he would
Mhm.
cook and we would hang out. We've done
Okay.
that. But and all he said is that you're the only man in the family.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
uh, so and I would just say that the process is that ultimately I was getting back to the men haven't always done the responsible um or the manly thing, and you of protecting, providing. But I always say be careful of that provider role, because both are supposed to be providing.
Right, but I think the provider is an innate, and we could talk about the three P's that are in terms of human behavior biologically embedded in the man's need. But I will say this for in terms of Miles. Miles is he's raised by his dad. Very, he's a different dude. So,
Yeah, but Miles and I click on a level. Okay, um, and my sister Kay, for instance,
mm,
Kay is had always been the shack bully. Okay,
mhm,
until she met Miles,
okay,
and that's the best thing that's been for her. And she told me this, and she and I have these great conversations. She said, "Darren, um, it has been eye opening to really love a black man."
mm,
She goes,
mhm,
to really understand love for a black man has been eye opening.
mhm,
She goes, "This is my first time in my life." Her and Miles,
mhm,
as they gotten together, as past 40 or whatever.
mhm,
Um, and the other brother-in-law I was talking about was her first husband, who died when he was 36 years old of a heart attack, Victor. Um,
mhm. And so I
but
remember Victor, but I don't want to get too much into
yeah,
Kay's business
no,
without Kay on
yeah,
the phone.
yeah, I know without them here, but I'm saying that the thing of it is this. So I know Miles is a different cat, but she had to learn how to love in such a way, and so I've seen her growth as a woman,
Mhm,
as a wife, um, in her learning how to be submissive to her husband
mm, and appreciate that.
and appreciate it. Um, and so I've seen that marriage. I've seen her growth and God used her in ways only because she's learned how to be submissive, in my opinion, to her husband, and knows how to let him lead when he needs to lead.
And to fall into, and here's the deal: the understanding that God is sovereign. To
Mm-hmm.
fall into His plan automatically reaps benefits.
Yes, and so that is, and I've seen that because believe me, she was a shack bully, and
Right.
she can
Right.
be.
Right. Yeah. I've known KR
Yeah, I know you.
most of my life. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's why I said I don't want to say too much. And do she have us both in the room
Yeah, but
on
so
an election?
but she's the only one of my sisters that will say to me, I don't care what you say on your podcast or if you write something, as long as it's true, I'm never gonna get mad.
Mm-hmm.
I've had one of my sisters called me up to ball me out after this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and I
I can guess which one it is.
and so I had one of them to call me up to tell me, but before she called me, she called my mother. She called each one of my sisters, then my mother, and and we all they go, they go. We told her that you didn't say anything wrong, and what you said was true. Blah blah blah. And she wasn't having it.
Right.
She wasn't having it, and it wasn't even about her.
Right.
I didn't mention her name. Now I mentioned Kay's name because Kay and I've had this conversation prior to. I've never even mentioned her name.
Yeah. But if you say my sister, I know who you're talking about at least.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's throw some videos up here. I
Okay.
was thinking my
All
video
right.
is a little static. I hope it's not coming like that way over line, but let
Your
me
video is glitching sometimes.
that's what I'm wondering whether it's coming out that like that over line. So that's I've been kind of trying to stay still and say less. But let's look at the video real quick.
All right.
Back in the days, most of the time, you would wait for someone to make the first move. It might be on the first date, it might be the third date, whatever. It could be the man, it could be the woman. But now, all my friends have noticed that the man has stopped making the first move. All my girlfriends are like, they're waiting. It's the third date, fourth date, a week later. He hasn't gone in for the kiss. He doesn't do any touching or anything. And I've asked my dude friends that are single, and they are like, you don't know where a woman's gonna go with that story anymore. I ain't touching nobody. And it sucks because the Me Too movement is so strong and so powerful for the people that need it, but it shouldn't ruin the maturity that we should have within intimacy and relationships.
That little piece at the end they threw on there.
Yeah. I would just say that I think that's a problem with a lot of young men.
What was she describing?
She was describing the concept of you never know if you can catch a case by just trying to hold somebody's hand. But and so men have been more cautious generally of trying to initiate relationships with women because society tells men that that's toxic masculinity. Help me out there.
Masculinity, right?
By just being men, and I think that that's a misused term because being a man is not toxic.
Right. And so by the way, my book Man Talk gets into the details of that. So in a situation like that, how do we move from a place where it is wrong for me to express my appreciation for you visually, like you look good, you look nice in that kind of stuff. It's wrong for me to do that if you don't want it, but it's okay if you do want it. And if you change your mind, I could be in trouble.
Well, I don't know how to unring the bell of this crazy.
So what would you tell your son?
Well, I would tell my son, which I tell my grandsons, is I have a grandson that's 16, and he and I had a long conversation about sex and dating, and he had his first girlfriend. And I just used me an example of, I told him to preserve himself until he was married. I gave him issues that I had growing up, and explained that. And I said, treat her like your sister until you know that you can hold her hand and give her a kiss goodnight. Because I don't want her to come back and say you've done something to her.
And so women love the spontaneity.
Yes, maybe they do.
But they demand permission.
So the power that's there should be there for women to be able to control who and what who touches them, of course. But the issue is, being a man should not be trampled on, and it should be respected. And being a man means being able to, we're initiators. Ultimately, our job is initiation. Their job is reception.
But
God
has built that
into us.
Current culture, guys have spent time for initiating, not for violating, but for initiating. And if she agrees, she can always change her mind and say, yeah, not during the act of engagement. But she can come back and say, I really didn't want to kiss him. And he forced himself on me because he kept asking. Like that song, that Christmas song they said was abusive.
Oh, you're talking about Baby It's Cold Outside?
Right, yeah. And wanted to rewrite it because they said it was abusive because the guy was sort of persistent in his pursuit.
And I would just say that at some point as a society, we got to have some common sense and understand that the process of dating is a process of mistakes and non-mistakes. Now, forcing yourself with somebody is not a mistake. That's a crime. What I'm talking about is the ability to be rejected and it's okay. And the ability,
but I think
to know when it's okay and move on.
In that example, it wasn't a bunch of rejection. It was just that back and forth that typically happens and is part of the whole dating experience.
It's a part of the dance. And so the dance is that dance is that romantic back and forth, or that romantic dance of, baby, you want it, or whatever, however he was saying it, you want me to say tonight, you want this kiss. That is a normal process of a guy pursuing a woman, letting her know that he was interested in her, and she has that right to say no or yes. How many ever times she wants to say no or yes. And being rejected is okay, and that's a part of life. And we need to let boys know it's okay to put yourself out on a limb and get rejected.
And that's a conversation that I have with a lot of guys. I'm gonna run another video because I want to start talking about this other element, because the question is also, who do I choose, and how do I evaluate that choice? And so I have a couple of videos. This is a 3-minute video. It's a little bit longer.
All right.
And so we'll watch it.
What are you doing?
I'm recording you.
I see that. Did you put her to sleep?
Yeah, I did.
You did? Good. She had such a great birthday.
She did.
You're such a great dad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not done passing out gifts either.
A gift for me? Vernon, you didn't have to do that. It's not my birthday.
Such a great mom.
Oh, thank you.
I
Oh,
had to.
it's heavy. Ooh, I'm excited.
You're gonna love it.
What is it?
Open it up.
Oh my God, you are such an amazing man, I tell you.
Open it up, man.
Is it Valentine's Day all over again? Oh my God. Ooh, it's that kind of night, ain't it? My favorite wine?
You're gonna love it. It goes with the gift.
Ooh, Pinot Noir. Mwah. I can't wait to sip on this. Thank you, babe. Oh, here we go, here we go. I'm excited. It better be the necklace I wanted. You know I've been wanting that for a long time. Another bag. You're so tricky, I tell you. Babe, really? Another bag? I can't with you and your foolishness. Oh my God. You are one silly man, I tell you.
Open it up.
Oh my God, what is this? Oh man. Duct tape, really?
They ran out.
You're such an amazing
They
rapper.
ran out. I'm sorry.
An envelope? What could this be? What could this be? It's not shaking. It's not my necklace, I don't think. Let's open this up. Ooh, it feels kind of thick. Okay, hold on. It may be. Maybe. This better be a ticket to Dubai for 2 weeks straight, round trip. Because you know I've been wanting to go to Dubai.
Open it up. Yeah, read it.
What is this?
You know what it is? I just want you to know that I know. Nevaeh is not mine. She's not my daughter.
Why did you do this tonight out of all nights? Why?
Because I wanted you to know that I know Nevaeh is not mine. I've had doubts. So I
What
went and got a
doubts?
DNA test. Nevaeh is not mine. She's not my daughter.
Why would you do this? She loves you though. Why would you do this?
She's not my daughter. Why would you do this? Why would you cheat?
I didn't cheat.
Why would you cheat on me?
I didn't.
That's proof right there. DNA test. Nevaeh is not my daughter.
But babe, really? Out of all days, you had 3 years to give this to me. Now you want to give this to me?
All right, well, listen. You and Nevaeh got to the end of the month to get out of my house.
You're kidding, right?
I'm not kidding.
But
You
that's your
and
daughter.
your daughter had to the end of the month to get out of my house.
But that's
Kelly.
your daughter.
It's not my daughter, Kelly.
Yes, it is.
Paperwork says it's not my daughter.
Why would you do this?
I am not the father.
No. Stop, babe. Can we just talk? Get the camera out my face. Can we just talk? Get it out.
All right. Your
Okay.
thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, there was a study not too long ago. There was one in 2023 and 2025 that it was published that close to or more than half of the men that got tested for DNA, no matter what, if they're the people were married or not, were not the fathers.
Or lied about.
Were lied about.
Lied to.
Yeah, lied to. And I know that study said approximately, generally, that from commercial testing facilities, it says that 30 to 38% of disputed or voluntary DNA test yields negative results, so they're not the father. So
Women say men lie.
Yeah, they say that because they know what lies are. It's funny. I just sent my daughters a T-shirt last night, and it was a garden hose, a bee, and a lion. It's just those pictures.
Mhm.
And they, I do that sort of. I'm funny. I send out to my daughters.
Mhm.
But basically, I said read that, and it was saying hoes be lying. And they just said one. I send out jokes to them, but I would just say that that's the state of the world we're in now, um, where they say that women in marriages studies have shown they cheat more than men these days.
I mean
Uh,
that. I think that's
I don't know if that's
statistically it shows that, and if you sit into a counseling room, you'll understand that also. But I think that men get caught more when they cheat with women.
well, men are dumb.
No, I don't think it's men are dumb. I think women are. Put it this way. Now, I'm not for uh, dating same sex. I'm not into all of that stuff. But when you look at the studies, men who cheat with men don't get caught. Men who
Yeah.
cheat with women get caught. So now,
Well,
and if you look at the reason why, most of the time there is a point where, let's suppose she's supposed to be the side chick, if there's such a reasonable thing, which I don't think there is. Then when she changes her mind and want to be something different, she's going to manipulate that situation, and he's going to be caught. If she is at a point where she wants to break up, or even if she is cheating with a man who is a side dude, he is, and she wants to break up or he wants more, he's not going to be the one who sabotages the relationship. Men, they walk away when it's over, and women don't. So it's who you're cheating with, not necessarily how intelligent you are. Now, I think it's dumb to cheat in the first place, but
well, and all I would just say is, um, you you got to be careful of who you date. And my thing of it is this: you asked me this question not too long ago, a few months ago.
mhm,
Why was I attracted to toxic women or toxic relationships?
mhm,
And then I used to be, or I used to have this sort of what was the concept of. It took me a long time to really know what a good woman is and look at those characteristics of a good woman. Um, and those patterns, because a lot of times you're looking those things because you know how, for me, I was overlooking certain things because I was saying, "Hey, I'm not perfect." Because I was coming back on me, I'm not perfect, so I should be able to put up with this. Um, and so, and you realize it's not even about being perfect or not. It's about the transparency and who that person is. Because the Bible tells us when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So she was already wife material before you met her. You can't make her into a wife. And
exactly, which is the primary point.
yeah,
So,
and so I was trying to make people into wives.
mm, so here's the deal: if I were hiring somebody to do started a company, I've said this a lot of times. If I'm starting a company, a business, then and I needed a salesperson and an accountant, I would not judge them for the job based on how they feel about each other. I would hire them based on how qualified they are to do the job. And if they both catch the vision and have the qualifications, then they will be good in the position. But what we do is hire somebody we like and then put them in the position as a husband or a wife and expect that they're going to be qualified because of how much we like them.
Yes. And so in therein lies the rub. So and a lot of people, a lot of young men and young ladies are not being trained to be husbands and wives. And that's what I go back to me trying to train my daughters and say the right things to them to be somebody's husband.
Mhm. And so if you really like her, that doesn't automatically make her qualified to be a wife, or if you really like him, vice versa, he's not automatically qualified to be a husband. You can really like him and he can be unqualified for the job.
Yeah. And but there's also a, but I don't want to go too far with that because sometimes you got to grow together and help each other grow and mature.
Right, but there are core elements. Like, for example, if I hired you to be my general counsel, you might not know much about the organization itself and everything else. You just know the law. So, therefore, when you come in, you're going to apply the characteristics, the foundational insight that you have to apply it to that scenario. So, but I still got to make sure that you are qualified as a lawyer before you can grow in that company.
I agree, and so maybe that, I mean, so a lot of times, and I don't want to pick on women, and that's why I say men and women, they're
I'm
not
talking
ready
about,
for those. They're not ready for
yeah,
those
I'm talking about
roles.
men and women.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
talking
they're
about
men
men.
and women. They're not just not ready for those
Matter of
roles.
fact, I think there are more disqualified men
I agree,
than there are women. Yeah.
and I completely agree with you. And um, most men have no idea the responsibility they have to as being a father and a husband. Um, and they take it lightly in the beginning, and then but what I've seen is a lot of my good friends that have been married for 20, 30 plus years now, they had to go through something to get to that point. And
But I think the core, like for example, like you know where I come from, so
yeah,
I totally was unqualified. However, I had this instruction manual. It's kind of like something similar required. I don't have to be a mechanic to put it together. I just need to know what a source is and be committed enough to that to make the changes in myself and to not think that I know more than the source.
and I but there's a humility that comes with that. There is a willingness to submit to authority, um, and that authority was the word of God. Um,
And that's what I mean. The
yeah,
source.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
and so um, and what I've noticed is that men begin to, as they mature and grow, they're willing to submit to that. And women sometimes have had that role of being out front, doesn't want to take a step back and get into that role that God intended them to have because they've
Yeah. And so I don't even think that's a step back. I think it's a step into her role.
I agree. I said that the wrong.
Yeah.
And so our
Yeah.
step aside or step, however, into her role.
Right. Just like he has to step into his role.
Yes, just like she had to step
Back.
into her role.
Yeah.
And
But,
that's why I commend Kay because she had to step into her role, which she had never really stepped into before.
yeah. And I think that it's comfortable once you get there and realize, even now, I have some, my director of our program division consistently tells me, um, she's a woman, and she consistently says, you're not in your lane. Like, you need to back up and get in your lane because I'm doing stuff because I am used to just doing and doing and doing, and I'm out of my lane. She says you can't be good at what you are supposed to do because you're doing what's not assigned to you. Uh, and so take a look at this, and she talks about warning signs when it comes to a woman.
Here are the 6 characteristics of a Delilah. Remember, Delilah portrays Samson in the Bible. Let's get into it, family. Number 1, Delilah is selfish. She's not there for love or the relationship. She is there for herself and what she stands to gain in the relationship. She's an opportunist. Almost everything she does has a selfish motive behind it. She has her own agenda and hardly sacrifices for the relationship. Number 2, Delilah knows how to disarm a man. She is captivating and seductive. She knows what a man wants superficially and knows how to make him feel good. Number 3, Delilah is manipulative. She will coax, deceive, shame, pressure, ultimatum, nag, seduce. She'll weaponize your insecurities, your deep, dark secrets. She has no shame nor integrity. You almost feel like you are under her spell. Number 4, Delilah does not like authority, has no interest in submitting to any man, and only desires to have things her way. She can make a man feel lonely, frustrated, and depressed. Number 5, Delilah tends to be a promiscuous woman. She loves having the power, and she does not want to be tied down. This is not a woman who desires to be committed. She loves the attention, the power she gets from it. Number 6, Delilah is vengeful and unforgiving. The moment you decide to stand up for yourself, start to set boundaries, she will suddenly turn against you and do something to hurt you badly just to get back at you.
What do you think?
Yes, but that's to me that's low hanging fruit.
Say more.
And I would say that young lady, she used to be married to Tyrese, and I probably have a bias there because she has been a Delilah, so maybe she knows, she understands. Um, you know, but I would just say that, yeah, uh, women, you have to be, as a man, you have to be careful of a woman that wants attention over love.
Mhm.
And essentially, but I'm careful of a woman these days that doesn't have a good relationship with her father.
What if
What
her
it-
father was not there?
and there is a problem for me.
Mhm.
What man in her life has she's ever submitted to besides a boss?
Mhm.
And then I'm always careful of the one that always talks about her pastor.
Mhm. Say more about that.
And I would
Her
just
church or her pastor?
her pastor,
Okay. Mhm.
not the church, but the pastor,
Mhm.
because I've known women that would readily submit to the pastor and not to her husband.
Mhm.
And the pastor kind of takes that role of her man in her life, and I find that a lot of times, um, you know, she will tell you what the pastor said,
Mhm.
um, but will negate what her husband says,
Even if both of them are biblical,
even if both of them are biblical.
or neither of them are biblical.
Or neither one. So my point of it is this: who? So does she have an uncle that she's close to that that took on that father figure, or a man in her life that she has submitted to ever that
Mhm.
didn't pay her?
Mhm.
Because and I will just like when I was speaking to my grandson, I said, "Where's this young lady's father?" And he told me, "Oh, she's father, told her she can't date." And I said, "Well, if you can't meet the father, you can't date this young lady because he's got to say it's okay."
Mhm.
Um, I, so if this young lady is willing to submit to her father, then okay. And then he started telling me a little bit about her, and I said, "Then why is she with you? She's a sweet young lady." Because boy, you ain't got it together yet. And so I'm having these conversations with him as
Mhm.
trying to grow him up. But the thing of it is, that's one of my characteristics is who has she submitted to?
Mhm. Now, what would be your characteristic for him?
My characteristics for him is, can he control his body?
Mhm.
Is in a young lady, is he trying to pressure you to do something that you don't want to do or that is not biblical?
Mhm.
So young men, the problem with the young men is that, and I remember you said something about the seed a few months ago, but what I said to my grandson some time ago is, um, I need him to learn how to control his body now. So later in life, when he's challenged, he can control his body when he gets into a marriage. So if you can control your members now, let's get this under control now.
Mhm.
Even when your hormones are raging, and you can get that under control now, you
Mhm.
become a very powerful man. You become a man that God can use.
And controlling his body comprehensively,
Yes,
like your emotions,
his
all that.
emotions, everything, sexual, everything, being able to control. And I told him, I said, it's because a lot of young men that end up in prison, they can control their emotions. They got upset,
Mhm.
they did something stupid, or they were enamored by going to steal something that's not theirs. You're not controlling yourself.
Mhm.
Control who you are.
And I think I read a study that talked about the frame of of unregulated emotions is about 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to most murders. So you could not regulate yourself for 10 minutes and it changed your entire life.
And so that therein lies. So young men have to learn how to control their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's one of the more important things that the I don't know if mentoring or fathers are teaching that or churches are teaching this. My church that I go to, I never mentions this that I know of, but I'm not involved in dealing with young people. So I can't say yay or nay, but I just know that that's very, very important in teaching young men how to be able to control and say no to themselves.
Mm-hmm. And to not respond to, because you got to keep your cognitive faculties, your I would say your executive functions intact. And when you exchange that moment for heightened emotions, that's when you lose it. Whether the emotions are good, I really feeling you right now, or whether the emotions are bad, I really need to attack you right now.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and so in the end, um, so my characteristics for a young lady, what authority is she submitting to? But I can tell you in relationships that I've had that have gone awry, foundationally, um, a lot of the young ladies were what I say selfish, self-involved, and they were looking for attention more than they were looking for love. And they had daddy issues.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the daddy was there, they had daddy issues sometimes.
And then men, you said that was women. What about men?
And in men, the issue was young men do not know how to control themselves, and they have female energy a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And they were never taught how to keep their penis in their pants.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore they sabotage their relationships, they sabotage their positions and things like that for momentary emotional connection, whatever that is, or momentary emotional anger, whatever that's that momentary moment. They have to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to control themselves.
All right. With 3 minutes left, I want to play another video, and I think the video talks about body count. So
Yeah, so like if a guy was a Christian and he met with a Christian woman and he really liked her, he thought she was great, but found out that she had slept with 50 men. And he was like, well, that's a deal breaker for me. You don't have an objection to that, right?
No, not at all.
Okay, so then in some ways I think that this is just a cope position. And the reason I think it's a cope position is because what happens is many of these women go from literal online whoredom where they're like doing boy-girl content on and things like this, and they go, oh, well, shit, it's 30, time to get married, drop out of that, and then move over and say, now I'm a Christian. But
Too
then
late.
they get into the dating market as a Christian, and these men are like, well, I'm still not interested in you even though I'm a Christian, right? Aren't they still setting themselves up for massive failure here? Like, sure, God forgave you. Great, and I'm glad you're a Christian. I'm still not dating you, right?
I have often said this, and I said this to my daughters. I said, men and women are different when it comes to sex. And I mean this, even though I tell my grandsons to keep their penis in their pants, and I always will give them the same advice. However, women have a seed that's planted in them that gives life. That womb is so important. And something has to penetrate you, and it's inside you.
mm-hmm.
You have to be very careful what you let inside you, because God tells us to guard our hearts, to make sure we be careful what we let inside us.
Mm-hmm.
And fundamentally, and studies have shown that women that have had more than 5 sexual partners, the divorce rate for them is like 80%.
Oxytocin elements.
Pardon me?
Oxytocin elements. There's a science that many feminists try to reject, but it kind of stood the test. It really talks about the degree of oxytocin starts to decrease, and that's the bonding. The ability to bond internally starts to decrease after 5 novice relationships, and 5 novice and 5 kids. You your passion towards the first kid and your motherly instinct becomes knowledge and wisdom instead of when you have your first kid, the motherly instincts are driven primarily instinctively, um, but it kind of changes over time. And so that's an argument that science seems to hold on to, but culture seems to reject. But I think if you think about it this way, if I had a glass of water and I passed it down through 5 people and they touched the outside of the water and passed it on, I would still drink it. But if I told each one to dip their hand inside, then by the time it got to me, I would not want it.
Exactly.
And so I think that there is, and this might call for a much longer conversation. I'd like to invite a woman or two on to join us in that. But yeah, I think that body count issue, how used up are you? And what his point is by the time you get to the church, you know, you're not the one I want. And then women get upset if you go for somebody who has less experience, saying that he's insecure. When really it is, I don't want anything used that much. And here's the other deal: if a guy has less experience, he's less attractive to women.
Yeah, maybe. But I just know. So, and then when women have a higher body count, they become less attractive to men,
Exactly.
and they don't understand that. And it is just a correlation between a woman's body count and the divorce rate.
Yeah.
And
And the science, and like I said, the science, the human behavioral science kind of reflects some elements with reference to that also.
and the women with higher body counts are more likely to initiate divorce. And we know that like 70% of divorce are initiated by women in general anyway.
Right.
Um, but I'm trying not to pick on women, but there's just such a foundation to our society, and God has given them so much power that they don't understand their role and responsibilities that they have in the families that. But I don't think men understand it either.
Right. And I think that women have had to figure out, and part of it is American culture, legislation. I mean, there's a whole lot of other things that we can get into.
Feminism.
But yeah, but I think that we have abandoned the book that gives us direction and expect that we should put it together based on the picture on the box. And the sum assembly required leads to disaster.
And I hate that concept that Oprah started. You know your truth.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's just and I always say, well, there's only objective truth found in the
Truth is
Bible.
objective.
I mean,
Right.
so all right, you know your own truth, but that's just opinions and your own biases. And
And I cringe when I hear that.
yeah,
I was
and
like,
I know
when
my
did you
truth.
become the owner of truth?
Yeah,
Um,
like
like you know your perception.
yeah, exactly. And so therein lies those sort of things that become part of our culture,
Mhm.
and that I believe that the devil uses to draw women further and further away from the word of God, um, in a deceptive, beguiling way,
Hmm.
because men are not in the garden protecting it, because men have abdicated their positions,
And it gives way for the serpent.
and it gives way
Listen,
to the serpent.
mm,
And so, and I would just say that even in my situation, going through a divorce,
mhm,
I would say this. Now we both made our mistakes in our marriage. You can take that as you however you want. But I remember going to counseling with my then pastor, and my wife at that time was not even in the church. She was not involved in the church. Um, and his concept was, um, let's get rid of Darren, and that will solve her problem, her unhappiness. Of course, it did not do that.
Right. And I think that I mean, our time is blown. We might be able to pick this up a little bit later, but I think that because that is a question that we need to discuss is the church's role in families and relationships.
That's what we need to discuss, and how churches can be better at supporting families and building families
and understanding families. And I think that it needs to be way more practical than just love your husbands, love your wives, and wives submit to your husbands. Yeah. All right, we appreciate you joining us today, and look forward to us. And we'll probably continue this conversation, maybe even throw a couple of women in so that we can have a much more balanced conversation.
Yeah, I think we should throw a woman in here with us.
Right. All right. Good to see you today.
All right.